Good evening, my JEE 2026 warriors, all my fresher students and the dropper students. Welcome aboard on the number one JEE English channel in the country. And today we are on to our next class of current electricity. We're going to talk about power and heating effect and the bulb problems. And then we'll go to measuring instruments like voltmeter, ammeter, and meter bridge. In fact, these two are derived from galvanometer. Although galvanometer will be studied separately after magnetism, today we'll just see how to convert it as voltmeter and ammeter. So that specific portion we are going to restrict ourselves to. So this is your Captain Shreyas. Welcome aboard. Harshita, Ashwin, Vijay, Rockstar, Tamiz, Jinani, Omra. Welcome aboard, guys, and quickly say hello and mark your attendance by smashing that like button down there. And yes, subscribe to the Vedantu J English channel in case you have forgotten. This is your captain speaking, and we are aboard on the current electricity chapter already and moving at a steady pace towards magnetism after this, and then EMI, and then wave optics and modern physics, which will complete our syllabus. Okay, so nice to see you all here. Quickly see if I am audible, visible to all of you out there. Yeah, and let's quickly make it 100 plus likes. Hi Akhil, hi Janani, welcome Sai, hi Vir, Vupala, welcome, good evening. And the previous lectures of current electricity are over here. Remember, every day, 8 o'clock, 12th portion and 11 and 6 o'clock are the 11th standard portion. Okay, so it's all over here. Okay, this is the 11th portion and this is the 12th portion, right? So you can check out the entire playlist. It's in a beautiful manner, detailed classes right from the scratch, right? Cool. So let's begin, my dear students. Hi Bhavesh, hi Akhil, good evening. Now let's start off our discussion with the concept of power first, and also remember that yesterday was the last entry point for our Sigma batch. So in case you have not joined it yet, watch our YouTube classes, but at the same time be a part of the Sigma batch. It's a pure English batch dedicated to complete entire syllabus on time by October, November, so that we can start off with the revision and the final mock test series in January, so that you can clear your first mains attempt with super duper percentile and then prepare for JEE Advanced. So the entire batch is there at a very reasonable price with Tattva books and flashcards. So do check it out. The link is there in the description box of this particular video. All the amazing features, right from in-class doubt solving to the repository to the test series to the study material to the DPPs and assignments, everything is a part of this batch. You don't have to go buy anything else, or search for anything else. That is a wholesome product that you can ever buy. So starting off with the concept of electrical power. See, power in electricity means the rate at which electrical energy being consumed or being used up somewhere or being supplied. So in case of a cell, in case of a cell, you will notice that if this is the negative terminal, this is the positive terminal. Say for example, you have this cell giving out current in this particular manner. The current is coming this way. Then it is said to be it is said to be discharging because it is supplying the current. It is discharging because it supplies the current. Whereas the current entering the positive node means it is charging. The current is entering inside. In case of discharging, please remember the chemical energy will convert into the electrical form of energy. Whereas in charging, the electrical energy will be stored in the chemical form in that particular cell. In either case, what is the rate at which energy is being delivered or being consumed? Well, in this situation, the power is being supplied by the cell. The power is supplied by the cell, and it is nothing but the EMF multiplied by the current. Yes, EMF multiplied by current, just like voltage into current is power. Same way, instead of voltage, you replace it with EMF, E. Whereas in this case, it is the power which is being consumed by the cell. So the power consumed by that particular cell will be at the rate of E into I. So in general, it is V into I. You can say V being the voltage difference, which in this case is the EMF. So that is for a cell which is either supplying the energy or consuming while getting charged. The direction of the current is what decides whether it is charging or discharging. Is this absolutely clear? Everybody with me? Nice to see you back, Rama. Hi, Snehir. Hi, Bhavesh. Welcome. All right. The chapter is complete. That's it, Rockstar. Today, that's it. Today is the last session. All right. Now, having said this, what about a resistor? Well, if it is a resistor, if it is a resistor and some current is flowing, doesn't matter which direction, obviously some loss will be there. There will be some kind of loss which is encountered, and that power loss in that resistance is given by either I squared R, or you can also use the voltage square by resistance, or voltage into current. Any one of these things, either this or this or this, where V is the voltage across the resistance, please mind it. Where V is the voltage across the resistance, so V technically is current into resistance by Ohm's law. So either of these formulas will give you the right answer. I squared R, V square by R, or voltage into current. All these three formulas are the same thing. It's just manipulating with Ohm's law, nothing else. Now let me show you some very interesting scenarios out here, which you could do via Ohm's law. Just, via energy analysis, my bad. Just imagine this. If there is a cell with some internal resistance, okay, and this is the EMF, and you connect it to some external load device which has some resistance R. In this scenario, one can say that the power which is supplied by the cell is being consumed at two places. One, it is the power loss at that external load, and also the power loss which is happening at the internal resistance. So this cell is supplying energy, this resistance and this resistance are consuming that energy. This is nothing but conservation of energy principle. This is nothing but conservation of energy principle, nothing great about it. What is the power supplied by the cell? It is EMF multiplied by the current. What is the power loss in that big resistance? I will use I squared R. What is the power lost in the smaller resistance? The same current into that internal resistance. As one can see, I gets cancelled. So therefore, E will be equal to I capital R plus I small r. I can be taken common and it will be E divided by R plus R, which is also true by Ohm's law, Kirchhoff's law, whatever. So even using our Kirchhoff's voltage law or Kirchhoff's current law or basically Ohm's law, one will still say that the current will be the net voltage by our net resistance, which is still going to be E divided by R plus R, which is still the same value. So whether you do via energy analysis or you do via Kirchhoff's law analysis, Ohm's law analysis, you will definitely be guaranteed the same answer. Okay, so this is the concept of power being delivered or power being consumed by these cells and resistances. Is this absolutely clear? Hi, study aspirant. Welcome, everyone. Okay, great. Now, there is a very specific theorem which you should know with regards to this power analysis. So, if you have a cell of EMF and some internal resistance, and this is some external resistance over here, and let's say I am allowed to change the internal resistance. I'm allowed to change the internal resistance. So when I'm allowed to change the internal resistance, usually the symbol used is like this. This shows that I can change it. It is also called as rheostat or sometimes a potentiometer. So by changing a knob or changing some things in that resistance, you can change the value of the resistance. It's not a fixed resistance. So I want maximum energy should be lost across the external resistance, which is often called as the load. So I want maximum power which should be lost across the load. So in such a scenario, if I want that to happen, that power lost across that particular load will be nothing but current square multiplied by the resistance of it. The current will be obviously EMF divided by the total resistance, but I have to square it. So into R, which is as good as saying E square into R divided by R plus small r whole square. Now, please note over here that I can change my small r and accordingly this power will change. So changing this small r will affect the power and I want the power to be maximum. So P is a function of r and I want the power to be maximum. So whenever something is a function and you want it to be maximum, you use the concept of maxima minima. So if I do dp by the variable which is changing it, that is small r, right? That is the variable which is changing it. This particular aspect should be 0 for maxima to occur. For any kind of maxima to occur, dp by dr should be 0. So when you take the derivatives and all of that, eventually what you get is that the small resistance R should be exactly equal to the external resistance. So if I know that outside we have 17 ohms of resistance, you put the internal resistance also as 17 ohms, maximum energy will be lost across this. So this particular concept is also called as maximum power transfer theorem. Maximum power transfer theorem. Maximum power transfer theorem. Okay, maximum power transfer theorem. When the internal resistance equals the external resistance, maximum energy is lost across that outside load. Everybody clear about this? Amazing, isn't it? Perfecto. Yeah, great. So maybe there could be a question something like this. Maybe there could be a question like this. Listen, there is 4 volts and there is some 2 ohms over here and there is 6 volts and there is 3 ohms over here and let's say there is some kind of x ohms over here. Question is, find the value of x such that maximum power loss happens in that x resistance. Find the value of x so that maximum power loss is happening in that resistance. One thing is clear, although it is not a simple circuit, there are multiple batteries and internal resistance. How about, converting this into a single battery? And we can easily do that. Yeah, we can definitely convert this into a single equivalent EMF with an equivalent resistance that is again connected to our external load, which is X ohms. So this is the equivalent EMF and this is the equivalent resistance. So if I want maximum power loss in X, what does this mean? Using power transfer theorem, it should be equal to the internal resistance of that equivalent cell. So how much is that equivalent resistance? Well, these two are in parallel. So just use 1 by Re is equal to 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3, which is nothing but 6 by, and that 5 will go on the top. So therefore, RE will be 6 by 5. So therefore, X will be 6 by 5 ohms. That is the answer. Okay. All right. I hope this is absolutely clear. Sir, in Sigma batch, it shows the batch will start on 31st July. Oh, I think the last entry point date has been changed probably. Earlier, maybe it was something else. Now, maybe just today it would have been changed. Quite possible, RJ. Okay. Paki, doesn't matter whether it is live, recorded. Yeah. Main thing is, am I giving you content? Am I giving you top-notch content? Am I explaining you from basics? How does it matter? Live, recorded. Whenever possible, I take live. But there are so many batches for me. I don't want to miss a class. I don't want you to lose that consistency. So if someday, if I give you a recorded class, you should not be complaining about it. You should be thankful that in spite of Shreyas Sir having Sigma batch, DNA batch, this batch, Moria batch, still, Shreyas Sir came for you and he recorded whatever is possible. Okay. Yeah. Right. Great. All right. Moving on now to the next concept of something called as the power rating. Now, this is very useful for solving those bulb questions. Let's understand it. So you might have seen I have a 50-watt bulb, 2-watt bulb, 100-watt bulb. So whenever you see that power rating, it is usually of a device is usually at a certain specific voltage. So power is usually rated at a certain voltage which is generally considered as standard. So if there are any voltage fluctuations, so if the voltage fluctuates, obviously the current in it will change, but the resistance will remain constant. Since a power is fixed for a certain voltage, so if the voltage changes, power, the power of that device will also change. The power will also change. It is only the resistance which does not change. It is only the resistance which does not change. Let me explain this to you with a simple example. Imagine a bulb or a device, a fan, a motor, anything, some device, okay, a device. It could be a bulb, anything, guys. It could be a motor, whatever. So device is rated at maybe 50 watts at 50 watts for our regular supply of 200 volts. For a regular supply of 200 volts. Okay. Now I'm going to make a change. If the voltage changes to, example, 400 volts, then what will exactly happen? Well, one thing is there that the resistance will not change. And we all know that the power formula, what is it? Power is nothing but V square divided by R. So this formula tells if voltage changes, power will change, but the resistance will definitely not change. So therefore, the resistance technically is nothing but V square divided by P. So since the resistance will not change, I can say resistance will be V1 square by P1, which is also the new voltage square by that new power. This will definitely remain the same. If that is the case, what is the voltage initially? Well, it was 200. What is the power initially? It was 50. What is the new voltage? It is 400. What is the new power? That's what we need to figure out. So P2 will be on the top, 200 will go down. So it will become 400 by 200. This entire thing is squared. and this 50 number also has gone on the top. Okay, 4 by 2 is 2, so 2 square is 4. So 4 multiplied by 50. So the new power consumed will be 200 watts. So if the voltage has been changed to 400 volts, the new power consumed by the same device will be now, becoming 4 times. Now it is 200 watts. Got it? All right. If can I take notes directly into the Tattva module, that is better only, no, Rohit, because already when things are printed, you will add it over there. It is better. But just that there will be too many tattvas to handle. So that is the only drawback. But other than that, I don't see any drawback. And plus, you'll have to flip through multiple pages. So when you have a notebook as such, you don't have to worry about it. Some students have torn the pages of Tattva and they have piled it together, all the notes together. So that is a good option only. Nothing wrong in it. Tearing the pages of a book, there is nothing wrong. I have seen many kids, they tear off exercise pages of H.C. Verma and they take it to school. Why? Because they can't carry huge books, teacher will catch or whatever. So they tear the pages of H.C. Verma and they carry it in their pocket or whatever, in the bag they'll keep it. And then when free period or some nonsense things are happening, they sit behind and they solve the questions. So that is also possible. There is no thing like you have to maintain the book and neatly or something like that. Yeah. What is power? Power is the rate at which energy is being consumed, 11th standard topic, or the rate at which work is done. Here we are talking about the rate at which electrical work is being consumed or delivered. So that is what power is, and it is expressed in watts. Remember, 11th standard work power energy chapter. Yeah, joules per second. 1 joule per second is called as 1 watt. Yeah, yeah, great, perfect. Now that you understand this particular thing, what if I tell you? What if I tell you? Listen, there is a bulb over here. Okay, there is a bulb over here, and it was maybe example 500 watts at 100 volts. Chumma, I've given some random thing. What if I connect? What if I connect two such bulbs, or maybe three such bulbs, or four such bulbs, in series? Then, if the net voltage is still the same, what do you think will the new power be for those bulbs? Quickly think about the answer. Each bulb is rated for 500 watts at 100 volts. If they are now connected in series, can you guess what will be the scenario? And what if I connected those bulbs in parallel? What if I connected those bulbs in parallel? Then what will their rating be? Just think about it. Assume the net voltage is still 100 volts only. First scenario, if you notice carefully, you will realize that the total voltage is 100, bulbs are identical, they are like identical resistors. So each bulb will technically have 50 volts drop, 50 volts drop in series. But in case of parallel, the voltages are going to be the same. So all the bulbs will have 100 volts only, because they are in parallel. There is no change. This is in series. The voltage drops will add up to give you the net voltage drop. Oh, so parallel is simple actually. Parallel is simple actually. So over here, we can immediately say, in case of parallel, each bulb is still at 100 volts, which was its rated voltage. So each bulb will have a power of still 500 watts. So therefore the net power in this, so the net power which will be consumed over here, because there are two bulbs, each is 500 watts, so it will be 500 two such bulbs, so therefore 1000 watt. 1000 watt. Absolutely clear, everyone? All right, study. Please talk in English and focus on the topic, bro. Okay, what about this scenario, sir? In the case of series, well, because the voltage has become half, the power will change. The resistance won't change. Resistance, since power is V squared by R will be V square by P, V square by P. So if voltage becomes half times, therefore the power should become 1/4, power should become 1/4 to maintain the ratio. If the numerator becomes half, but it is squared, so it will become basically nothing but 1/4 times numerator. So the denominator also should become 1/4 to balance the ratio. So therefore the new power, of each bulb, is, how much was it? 500 divided by 4 watts. But there are two bulbs, so therefore the net power, will be 500 by 4, but there are two bulbs, so therefore it will be by 2, which means it will be 250 watts. So if you take same bulbs in series, the power has become, n times less net power. But if you put them in parallel, each bulb will have the same power, same voltage in parallel. So the net power will be n times more. That's what we are saying. Yeah. Hi, Sarvana. I'm very good. Welcome. Yes, welcome, Varshini. All right. Cool. Shall we now go to some questions? And before going to questions, one last thing over here. You might have seen in the cell, they give something called as milliampere hour and all of that. So this is also a very important thing. Usually in cells, the cell capacity, the cell capacity is usually given in the units of ampere hour, or basically current into time. So if you say, for example, I have a cell of 4000 ampere hour. What it means is that if, usually it is not so much, okay, it is usually mAh, it is not ampere hour, that will be crazy, mAh, okay. So 4000 mAh means for 1 hour, if you use 4000 milliamperes, that will be okay, but beyond that it will not be able to supply. If you draw less current, then it will work for more time. If you draw more current, then it will work for less time. So this is basically the capacity. So this can be said to be equal to the current multiplied by the time. So just for example's sake, if I'm only drawing 200 milliamperes of current, how many hours will it work? Think about it. 200 into something should give you 4000. 200 into 2 will give you 400. So into 10. So basically 20 hours. So it will work for 20 hours. Some dude decides, no, I'm going to draw 8000 milliamperes of current. So 8000 will only work for half an hour. So that will be basically for 0.5 hours. It will work, because after that 0.5 into 8000 will be 4000 mAh, right? So after 0.5 hours, the battery will die out. So this is how battery capacity can be used to calculate how long will that battery last for. Is this okay? Everyone with me? Perfecto? Clearo? Shall we go ahead? Let me know quickly in the chat box. Open up your mobile phones or your chargers, power bank. You will see that mAh capacity will be given. Usually a good power bank is above, a very good power bank is above 15,000 mAh. 20,000 mAh means extremely good power banks. Any power bank should at least be 10,000 mAh. That's what you will see. Okay. So that's the specification of storage units of electric powers. So let's see if you can solve this. There are n number of identical bulbs, each is designed to draw power P independently. They are now joined in series. The total power drawn by the combination is, see, each bulb, if I say is resistance and let's say the voltage is V, that power is V squared by R. We know that R will be nothing but V square divided by P. Now you have taken those bulbs and connected in series like this. N number of bulbs are there, each having resistance R. So if it is connected across the same voltage, each bulb will have an voltage of V by N. Each bulb will have a voltage of V by N. So the power of each bulb, will be V by N square divided by the resistance. But wait a minute, resistance is V square by P. Okay, we'll do that. So V square by N square is there. What is that resistance? As per this formula, it is nothing but V square divided by P. Okay, so if you solve this, clearly you will see V square cancels. You will get P divided by N square. That is the power of each bulb. So therefore, the total power of that circuit, each bulb has a power loss of P by N square. Like that, there are N bulbs. So N will cancel. So it will become P divided by N. So P divided by N is option number D, which is the right answer, which was asked in this JEE Mains 2024 4th April attempt. Cool? Clear? Understood how we solved it? So for each bulb, we calculated what is the relationship. Now there are many such bulbs in series. So the total voltage, if it is V, each bulb will have 1/n of the net voltage. So the moment voltage changes, power will change. Resistance will still remain intact as it is. So cancelling out voltages, we got this for every bulb. So since there are n bulbs, I multiplied by n. And that's how I get the answer. Moving on to the next one. Different combinations of resistances are shown to me. The question is, what is the increasing order of power dissipation? What is the increasing order of power dissipation? So, as you can see, the currents which are entering are the same, and power dissipation will be nothing but current square multiplied by the equivalent resistance. So, the one with more equivalent resistance will have more power. That is the crux of the problem. The student who realizes this in the exam will quickly understand the crux and solve the question. So we just need to focus on the equivalent resistance, which is now a straightforward topic. So over here, immediately, if you notice, this resistance and this resistance are in parallel. So together, that is R by 2, and this is in series, so plus R. So that will be 3R by 2. Fair enough. These two are in series, so it will be 2R. These two are in parallel, so R1, R2 upon R1 plus R2. So that will be 2R divided by 3. That's this resistance. What about this? All three are in parallel, so definitely R by 3. Here all three are in series, so definitely 3R will be the correct one, equivalent resistance. So who is the least among them? Obviously 2R by 3, this is the least, B. Sorry, not this one, R by 3. 2R by 3 is at least more than C. So this is the least, then this is slightly bigger, then this is slightly bigger than that, and this is the largest. So C, B, A, D. So C, B, A, D. C, B, A, D. Correct. That is the right answer. C is the lowest, B is more, A is more, D is the highest. Because power was directly related to the equivalent resistance. Cool, everyone? Thank you, study aspirants, so much. And మీరు ఎలా ఉన్నారు? I think you guys are from Telangana or Andhra. Yes, I'll be sending the session notes with my handwriting after the session is over, not before that. It will take a day usually to upload. Perfect. Moving on to the next question. There is a bulb which is rated at so and so voltage and so power. If you change the voltage to 100, what is the new power in the circuit? No, new power in the bulb, sorry. So this is just resistance calculation. It will not change. So power being V square by resistance, therefore resistance is V square by P, which will remain the same. That's all, guys. After this, nothing is remaining. Earlier, the voltage was 200. Okay. Earlier, the voltage was 200. So 200 square. Earlier, the power was 50. Now the voltage is basically 100. And what is the new power? That's it. That is the question. So the new power will be 100 is there, 200 you bring it down, both of them are anyways squared, 50 goes on the top. So this will be nothing but 1 by 2 square, which is 50 by 4, which is 12.5 watts. So 12.5 watts means C for Captain Shreyas. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, my Tamil fans out here. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy when I see my fellow mates out here from Tamil Nadu and, Andhra too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Yes. Nan chat chestuna. Definitely all the chats. Everybody can see all your chats. Don't worry. Okay, concentrate on the class. All right. Heating effect of the current. See, power is energy per unit time, work per unit time. It's joules per second. If you multiply it by time, you will get the joules of the energy, the amount of energy being spent. All right. So, as you can see over here, if there is some resistance, if there is some, let's say, resistance like this, and some current flows through it, then the heat which is lost in that particular resistance will be the power loss multiplied by the time, because power loss is how much joules is being lost per second. If you multiply it by the seconds, you will see the answer will be in joules. So this particular heat loss, which I can call it H, will be I squared into R into T. So sometimes this is also called as Joule's law of heating. It is I squared RT. If you double the current, heat loss will be 4 times. If you triple it, it will be 9 times. If you double the resistance, it will be double. If you wait for more time, obviously the heat developed in it will be more. Where do you use this particular law? Sometimes also called as the Joule's law of electrical heating. Joule's law of electrical heating. This is definitely used in your, toaster, sandwich maker, even your geyser. So lot of applications are there. Your geyser, electric geyser, or your toaster, okay, or your room heater, they usually have the heating element, the heating element which is usually made of some high resistance wire like nichrome and tungsten and all of that. So high resistance elements are used. So high resistance is used, and when you pass sufficient current for a decent amount of time, it will produce a lot of heat, and that's how the surrounding material around it gets heated up, and we can calculate how much heat is developed, etc., with simple calculations. Like for example, if you pass a current of just barely 2 amperes in a resistance of, let's say, 100 ohms, and maybe you pass it for maybe 200 seconds, then the heat developed will be using I squared RT. Current is 2, resistance is 100, and time is 200. So therefore, this will be 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 4 zeros are there. So 10 raised to 4, correct? So this will be 80 multiplied by 10 to the power 3, but this is in joules. So I can say this is nothing but 80 kilojoules of heat will be provided. 80 kilojoules of heat will be provided in this particular arrangement. Okay, so this heat can be used for MC delta T or ML, which is your calorimetry heat thermodynamics concepts. So this heat can melt something, can heat some water, can evaporate something, anything like that can happen. Okay, right. Pratyush sir, her HC Verma, DC Pandey, BM Sharma, advanced illustration of physics galaxy and selective questions of Virodo and all PYQs enough. Pratyush, the way you have typed, no, first of all, please don't type like that. Okay, don't spam. Put it once, it's good enough. Okay, don't do that. Number 2, if you are solving so many books, I think it is a mistake. Okay, so don't solve so many books. your mind will be confused, you will lead to nowhere. Instead, focus on mastering couple of books rather than doing something of every book. Irodo with DC Pandey and your class assignments, good enough. Okay, or maybe BM Sharma you can use with Physics Galaxy. BM Sharma and Physics Galaxy is also a good combination. Yeah, you can combine two books. Nowadays, most of the Irodo problems you will find at least that nature in Physics Galaxy, or sometimes even in some BM Sharma advanced questions, and even some PYQs also you will find, and even some questions of high level questions of DC Pandey. But uh, Erodo book you can exclusively use if you have not seen good level questions exclusively, then that is a good option. But obviously that is good enough till mechanics, okay, but not for some extra topics like thermo and all of that. You will still again need some other books. Yeah, right. Class 11th has already started. Hi Kuber, the Varshni and Tharun. Class 11th syllabus every day being covered. Already we are on to motion in a straight line, which is done. We are going to start projectile motion next class. Vectors is done, units and dimensions is done, basic maths is done. So a lot of classes already done. Please watch it. The playlist is there on the home page. Okay, cool. All right, physics planner still pending. I will give it, my dear. Okay, so let's do some questions coming up on your screen. The amount of thermal energy which is developed by a resistor in 10 seconds when 4 amperes is passed. Now the current is increased to 16. How much energy will be developed in that same time? As you can see, the time is the same. It is only the current which has been changed, and H, heat developed, is I squared RT. Therefore, H is directly proportional to the square of the current. So it means if current is made, how many times? From 4 amperes to 16 amperes, 4 times. So square of it, so the square of it will be made how many times? Will be made 16 times. So the RHS will change 16 times. It is obvious that the heat will also become 16 times then. Okay, RHS changes 16 times. Obviously, LHS should change 16 times. See carefully. Earlier, the old current was 4 amperes. The new current is 16 amperes, which is 4 times of 4 amperes. So it has changed 4 number of times. So square of 4 will be 16. So hence answer is 16 times of the old heat generated. Directly you can do these kind of questions. Okay, cool. Let's do the next question, my dear warriors. Here it comes. The battery of a mobile phone is rated at this much volts, this much milliampere hour. Look at this. Battery capacity is mentioned, milliampere hour. How much energy is stored in it when it is completely charged? Now, see, think about it. The capacity of the battery is given, okay, in ampere hour, and the voltage is also given. So if you think about it, the power supplied by the battery will be the EMF multiplied by the current. But if you want how much energy is stored, you want how much energy is basically stored, then you just take that power, and you multiply it basically by the time. Oh, so the power is nothing but EMF multiplied by the current, and you multiply it by the time. That will give me the energy stored in it. Now, if you notice carefully over here, power was EI, that's standard, and time was separate. What if I shift the brackets? I write it current into time in one bracket and then multiply by EMF. This current into time is exactly what has been mentioned over here. Did you understand? I just manipulated the result over here. If I put the brackets here, then it is very obvious. I into T is current into time, which is mentioned over here. So now it's just a job of substitution. EMF is 4.2 volts. So put 4.2 over here. In the brackets, we have current into time, but that is 5800 milliampere hour. Milli means 10 to the power minus 3. And there is an hour also over there. So please convert it into SI units. So 1 hour is 3600 seconds. Is that right, everyone? So 1 hour is 60 minutes and each minute is 60 seconds. So 60 into 60 is 3600. So then, your units will be justified because this will be volts, this will be amperes after you multiplied with -3, and this will be in seconds. Now this is perfect, guys. Volts into amperes into seconds is going to give me the answer in joules. So when you try this out, you will get the final answer as 87.7 kilojoules. Okay. So try it out. You should get 87.7 into 10 to the power 3 joules over here. Okay. Understood, my dear students, how to do it? Yeah. Perfect, perfect. Can you tell me which books are best for JEE preparation from 11th? Ideally, your coaching modules with the class notes and DPPs are a good starting point. But apart from that, usually the good book that you should have is Halliday Resnick or H.C. Verma. Now, Halliday Resnick is a very fancy book. If you have enough time and you can manage things, it's a very nice book to get a feel of physics. If you love physics, then go with Halliday and Resnick. And if you are okay with foreign authors, else just go with H.C. Verma. The problems are good because Halliday Resnick problems you cannot solve, or rather you should not solve. You should only look at the theory part. So if you love theory, if you love physics, you want to explore things, then Halliday Resnick, if you have enough time. Else just go with H.C. Verma for theory with questions, apart from your coaching modules. Is that okay? Then you can start exploring other books as your taste and as your knowledge builds up. For practice, how much time you are getting and what kind of questions do you need. Based on that, then you can use Physics Galaxy or Advanced Rank Accelerator book or Irodov or DC Pandey or BM Sharma. Any books you can use. Okay, then. All right. Heat loss. No, we are not considering any heat loss. How much energy was stored is what we are just looking at, Nitin. Okay. No, don't use Physics Galaxy and Erodo from the beginning. It is not advisable. That's what I just told you, right? HC Verma, yeah, or Halliday Reasoning, and coaching module with class notes and DPPs, what you are getting is good enough to start your 11th. Trust me, 11th has a lot of things to absorb and accept and unlearn and then learn than just solving advanced questions. See, you might have seen some students solving Erodo and PYQ books and this and that at 11th standard only, but they don't tell you that they have already started their foundation back in 9th and 10th. So then it is fine. Okay. So these kids have already given some Olympiads, already begun their coaching. Maybe they are not telling you, right? So many things are there. So be careful. Okay. Why no heat loss is considered? Why will you consider heat loss is my question. This is energy stored is power into time. This is the power supplied by the battery, which is E into I. So whatever power is supplied by the battery is coming from the energy stored. Right now, we are not wondering where the energy is getting lost after that. Whatever energy is stored is stored. If it is getting lost somewhere, that is not the fault of the battery. That is the fault of the resistances of the wire or external things. So, how much is just the stored thing will always be calculated assuming there is nothing lost. Yeah, makes sense. Nitin? All right. So, those were some power related concepts. Okay. Let's move on to measuring instruments. Let's move on to measuring instruments. Now, these three measuring instruments, one for voltage, one for current, and one for resistance. So, everything. So, in order to measure the voltage, we have something called as the voltmeter. To measure the current, we have the ammeter, not current meter. That's called ammeter. And to measure resistance, the device that we are going to use is called as the meter bridge. Meter bridge. These two devices, voltmeter and ammeter, are just modified. They are just modified galvanometers. What's a galvanometer? We'll come to it. Yeah, just modified galvanometer. If you take a galvanometer and you modify it little bit, then it becomes an ammeter or a voltmeter on how it is placed, etc. But meter bridge is completely based on the concept of a completely different thing. It's based on Wheatstone's arrangement, Wheatstone's bridge, Wheatstone's bridge. Those of you who do not know what is Wheatstone's bridge or have forgotten, my advice, please check the previous lectures. Okay, it's done right over here. So please check the last lecture. I think somewhere we have done over here. Where did it go? Yeah, Wheatstone's bridge and RC circuits here. We have done this, guys. So please check this particular lecture. I've explained in detail what is Wheatstone's bridge and how to calculate the balancing part, everything. Okay, Wheatstone's bridge, everything we have done. Okay, so please check this particular lecture out. It was just done few days back. Okay, and smash the like button, session notes, everything is available. You can see right over here. Okay, all right. So let's see all these one by one. What is galvanometer? The working principle of galvanometer will be taught to you after magnetic effects of current, not now. Okay, because we have not yet done that chapter. So for now, let's just take it for my, mouth value or whatever I'm saying is correct. This is a galvanometer. It is just a sensitive current measuring device. So what is a galvanometer? It's basically a sensitive. When I say sensitive, just like you say, my teeth are very sensitive to cold. That means if you eat ice cream or you put some ice, that's it, you start feeling something weird. It's very sensitive. So this galvanometer is sensitive to current, meaning you pass some small current, zwing, it will deflect. You pass more current, zoop, it will burn only. So it is very, very sensitive. It can't take in too much of load. Some people are there, they can't take too much of criticism or too much of jokes. You tell one thing here and there, they will lose their mind. They'll start crying. They'll start hitting, God knows, tantrums. They're very sensitive. So it's a sensitive current measuring device. How it works, everything, we don't have to worry about it now. You will see that usually it will be having its needle pointed on 0, but if you pass the current, it will deflect. If you pass more current, it will deflect more. And if you reverse the direction of the current, it will deflect onto the opposite side. So there is a positive side and the negative side. So positive side means the current is going in a particular direction. And if it is negative side, that means current is going in the exact opposite direction. That's what it is. So you will see that the deflection in it, that the deflection of the needle, is directly proportional to the current passing in the galvanometer. This is a very, very important thing. That constant of proportionality, everything you will learn it in magnetism. Let's not worry about it now. This word is very important. It is a sensitive device which measures current. Next important thing, the symbol of a galvanometer. The symbol of a galvanometer, sometimes people just put G, or they will just put an arrow mark like this and then put G over here. Both of them are fine. There is nothing wrong in any one of these. Next important thing, a galvanometer always has some kind of coil resistance. Let's say I call it RG, and it also has maximum current which can flow through it, which I can call it Imax. Some books or some people also call it as the full scale deflection current. Why is it called full scale deflection current? If you start passing current through the galvanometer, it will start deflecting. More current, more deflection. But when it reaches the end, that's the limiting value of the current and the maximum deflection it can go. More than that, most likely the instrument will burn, it will get shorted, it will just get spoiled. So that is why there is always a limit till which the current can be passed when it shows complete full scale deflection. So therefore, we can say that there is a maximum voltage which can pass through the galvanometer, which will be the maximum current multiplied by the resistance of the galvanometer. So this is the maximum voltage across the galvanometer. I've just used basically Ohm's law in this. I've just used Ohm's law, and this is the max voltage across a galvanometer. Maximum voltage across a galvanometer. Are these pointers absolutely clear? Put up a heart, fire, or a thumbs up quickly in the chat box till this point. Everyone? Okay. Welcome, welcome Bhanu, Aidarshan. I know some of you might feel, sir, I'm going very fast. Some of you will, sir, going very slow. Please understand, I have to take into account all kinds of students. Okay. Now let's try to think, what will I do when I want to measure current? This is an ammeter, by the way. And what will I do when I want to measure the voltage? This is a voltmeter. They look very similar. It's just that in a voltmeter, you will see that symbol V. In ammeter, you will see the symbol A. And you will see galvanometer, you will see the symbol G. You will be like, sir, they all look the same. What is exactly inside? Let me tell you, if you modify the galvanometer a little bit, you will get voltmeter or ammeter. So what is that modification needed? I'll tell you one thing. See, if you have maybe some kind of a device, if you have some kind of a device, this is your device. In order to measure the current, how will you place the ammeter? How will you place the ammeter to measure the current in some complex circuit? Maybe this is a circuit. Okay, currents are going in like this, going out. Who knows? Something like that. Okay, so this is a complex circuit out here. And the question is, how will you place the ammeter in this particular circuit in order to measure the current? It is obvious that you'll have to cut the wire. You'll have to cut the wire and you will place the ammeter over here. So ammeter is always connected in series. Ammeter is always connected in series. If that is the scenario, can you guess what should be the resistance of the ammeter? Because if this ammeter, you can see that there are two terminals here. So you cut the wire and you attach one terminal here, one terminal here. So it's in between. So the resistance of the ammeter ideally should be negligible. It should be 0. Yeah, I hope this is absolutely clear. So therefore, an ideal ammeter has 0 ohms resistance. Ideal ammeter basically has 0 ohms resistance, or basically low resistance, so that it does not affect the performance of the device. If it is large, then it will block the current. The device will stop working. It's like, I want to measure somebody's blood pressure, so I will cut the hand and I will be like, oh, your blood pressure is this much. I put a balloon. Oh, you, what did you do, man? To measure blood pressure, you cut the person's hand. No, you cannot do that. You just have to mildly press it with basic minimum effort, so that your heart should not feel, oh my God, why is this person pressing so hard? What should I do now? So that is the ammeter. And same thing, if you ask me about voltmeter, that will never be, voltage is never passing through a device. Voltage is always measured across a device. So a voltmeter is always connected in parallel. So a voltmeter is always going to be connected in parallel across the points where you want to measure the voltage. Now think logically, what should be the resistance of a voltmeter? Yeah, so you have a voltmeter. What should be the resistance? You connect it in parallel across the fan, bulb, light, whatever it is. Obviously, the ideal voltmeter should have infinite ohms of resistance, because it should not take in too much of current. Yeah, it bypasses some bit of current, but not too much, very negligible. The current should still continue to flow with the device. Or else, it's like you are testing the voltage and all the current flows to the voltmeter, this device will burn off or this will go off. That device will be like, oh my god, this guy is sucking away all my current. What should I do? Yeah, so it is in parallel and very high resistance. Perfect. Yeah. Bhanu, you tell me. You only tell me. Is it not enough for mains and advance? For everybody who wants to start with this chapter? For everyone who is looking to start for mains and advanced preparation, this is good enough. That's the best lecture series that you can get on YouTube. But obviously, this is not the end. Don't say this is, so only this is enough. Definitely not. You can't, because no lecture, forget on YouTube, no lecture even online or offline. Sir, I just attended my lecture, sir. Is it enough for mains and advanced? How is it enough? Please tell me. It is definitely not enough. Revisions are needed, mock tests are needed, discussions, problem solving, tutorials, doubt discussions, many things will be there. Right? Hi, AJ King, welcome. Yeah. Okay. So let's see one by one. What do you do in case of an ammeter versus a voltmeter? See, for ammeter, what you need to do is, say first of all, we have to take the galvanometer right over here. Galvanometer. Okay. Remember the current which is there. Remember the current which is there. It will be usually large, and not all of that current can pass through the galvanometer. Not all of that particular current can pass through the galvanometer. So what you do is that in order that a large amount of current can be measured, let's say this is the range, this is a large current which has to be measured. The galvanometer only allows a small bit of current, and the maximum that it can allow is Imax. If you've forgotten what Imax is, it is the full scale deflection current. It's like saying I want to measure 10 amperes of current, but I can only allow 1 milliamp. So what will you do? Obviously, you are going to create a bypass. Obviously, you are going to create a bypass. This is like there is a traffic zone somewhere. So in order to handle lot of traffic, you will bypass the traffic to some other road. So you are bypassing it. That bypass is always called as a shunt. So shunt means in parallel. Shunt means an alternative option. So this is basically called as the shunt resistance. This is basically your shunt resistance. So what will happen? Most of the current, which is I minus Imax, will flow through it. Most of the current will flow over here. A very small amount of current will flow over here. Now, if you package this in a box and send it to me, I will call it as an ammeter. That's it. So an ammeter is nothing but a galvanometer with a parallel shunt resistance. That's it. An ammeter is nothing but a galvanometer with a parallel shunt resistance, which is very, very small, so that it can bypass all that current. That's it. So inside this, it's nothing but a galvanometer. You erase that G symbol, and inside it, you put a parallel resistance. You can sell it as an ammeter. Perfect. So, sir, what about a voltmeter then? What about a voltmeter then? So let me tell you what a voltmeter is. So say this again. Let's start over here. So you have a galvanometer, let's say like this. You want to measure the voltage across some 2 points, and the galvanometer can handle a decently small current, not more. So what you do is, along with the galvanometer, you connect another big resistance. This is your series resistance. That's it. You connect your series resistance over here, and let your whatever device, it could be here, across which you want to measure the voltage. So you want to measure the voltage across these 2 points of that device. That's it. So you can measure that particular voltage by seeing how much deflection is there over here. So Say for example, a large amount of current enters over here. A large amount of current will enter over here. Most of that current will go through this device only. Most of it will go through this device, as very small current only can go through the galvanometer, which will be I minus, sorry, this will be just Ig basically. This is the current through the galvanometer, and maximum that can flow through the galvanometer is Imax. So a very small portion, because of the high resistance, will go through this branch. Most of it will still go in here only. So this device will still have I minus Imax. Maximum current will go still through this device. This will not be affected because this has very high resistance. So very little current will go over here. So if you ask me which is the voltmeter in this, only this much part is basically the voltmeter. So this much part is nothing but our voltmeter. So voltmeter is nothing but a galvanometer with a very high resistor in series. That's all. Voltmeter is nothing but a galvanometer inside, but there is a resistance, very high resistance inside. That's all that is there. So if you ask me how do you exactly convert something into a voltmeter or an ammeter, let me give you a simple example. Say there is a galvanometer, with a maximum full scale deflection of maybe 1 milliampere, not more than 1 milliampere it can take. Okay, that is given to me. The galvanometer resistance, chumma, I am taking it as 1 ohm, or let's say 2 ohms. Let's say I want to make an ammeter of range. I want to create an ammeter of a certain range. Let's say I want to create it of 1000 or let's say 1 ampere. I want to measure 1 ampere of current. How do I exactly do it? Whenever you get some problems like this, by the way, you would have realized I never gave any formula for ammeter, nor did I give any formula for voltmeter. So why, sir? You forgot, sir, the formula? No, I did not forget anything. It's just that people waste their time remembering some formulas and they get confused. Rather, my suggestion is treat this like a normal series parallel circuit. These are two resistors in parallel. These are two resistors in series. If you treat it like that, you will never ever find any difficulty. So just treat it like series parallel formulas. So if you're talking about an ammeter, what I'm saying is, well, you have a shunt resistance. That's it. So this is the galvanometer which is having 2 ohms resistance. The shunt resistance I do not know. So shunt resistance I do not know. But I know one thing, that a very large current is coming in. How much current? 1 ampere. And only I can allow 1 milliamperes over here through the galvanometer. So the remaining current will go through this, which is 1 ampere minus 1 milliampere. Guess what? This is almost like saying 1 ampere only, because 1 ampere is 1000 milliamperes. From 1000, if you take 1, it is 999. 999 milliampere is 0.999 amperes, which is 1 ampere only. So it does not make a much of a difference. So now that you can see, both of them are basically in parallel. They both are basically parallel resistances. So what happens in parallel resistances? In parallel resistances, the voltage is going to be the same. The voltage is going to be the same. So voltage is same. That means current into resistance is going to be the same. What is the current in the galvanometer? Think about it. It is 1 milliampere. So 1 into 10 to the power minus 3. What is the resistance? It is 2. Same thing over here. The current in the shunt is 1 ampere. The resistance of the shunt is what I do not know. Well, this is just going to be 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 is the resistance of the shunt. Therefore, the shunt resistance, how much should it be, guys? It should be 2 milli ohm. 2 milli ohm is the shunt resistance. If you have that, it will be able to measure currents up to 1 ampere. So even when 1 ampere goes, it will only allow 1 milliampere through the galvanometer, and it is safe, and most of the current is bypassed through the shunt. That is the logic. Tell me, do you need any formula? Thank you, AJ King. Means a lot. Did you need any formula to be remembered, especially for voltmeter or ammeter? Nothing. It's just series parallel at the end of the day. Sir, what if it was a question on the voltmeter? Don't break your head so much. It is very similar like that only. Say, I tell you that I have a galvanometer whose maximum deflection is 10 milliamperes, and I tell you the coil resistance of the galvanometer is example 20 ohms. I want the voltmeter whose range is example 10 volts. Okay, what should I connect in series so that it becomes a voltmeter of 10 volts? So again, think of the diagram. Well, we just need a galvanometer whose resistance is 20 ohms. The maximum it can allow is 10 milliamperes. And with that, we have another resistance over here. And that's it. That becomes a voltmeter. And the maximum voltage which it can measure is 10 volts. That's the maximum voltage which it can measure across it. That's a voltmeter. Now, if you notice, both of them are in basically series. They both are nothing but in series. So the net voltage is the current will be the same. The same current will flow through them, multiplied by the net resistance, by the net resistance of series, the net resistance of series. So think carefully. What is the net voltage across both of them? Maximum that can happen is 10 volts. Okay. What is the current? That's the same in both of them in series. So 10 milli is 10 to the power minus 3. Total resistance is 20 plus R. I do not know what R is. 10 cancels. 10 to the power minus 3 comes over here as 10 to the power plus 3, and it will be 20 plus R. Therefore, R will be 10 to the power 3 is 1000 minus 20. Therefore, R will be 980 ohms. So this much resistance will make it into a voltmeter when connected in series with the galvanometer. Nice to see you, Vara, in Sigma batch, and the Tattva books, like I said, you will usually get it around 2 to 3 weeks. So if I joined last week, so expect it in maybe first or second week of August. Yeah, that much time you should give. Okay, cool. Till that time, so you can start using the soft copy. It will come maximum 3 weeks. Okay, all right. If you solve a lot of PYQs, Zoro, it will be good, but solve older PYQs also. Don't just solve post-COVID PYQs. Solve 2018, 2016, 2002, like that, old PYQs also. Oh, is it, Vara? Then just do one thing. Just message me on Captain Shreyas Telegram. Okay, with the screenshot of your batch or enrollment ID or email ID or phone number, whatever is there, and I will take it up. It will get sorted. Okay, very easily. Okay. Hi, Preeti. Good evening. Okay, fine. We'll get it sorted. Just message me, Captain Shreyas, Captain underscore Shreyas on Telegram or Instagram, both. Preferably Telegram. Okay. Right. So let's solve some questions. The galvanometer has some resistance and it allows maximum current of this much. This was asked in JEE. It can be converted into a voltmeter to measure up to 100 volts by connecting in series a resistor of resistance how much? You want to convert it into a voltmeter. So just like before, guys, think like a series parallel, whatever it is. You have a galvanometer of 50 ohms and the maximum that it can allow is 5 milliamperes. You need a resistor in series so that you can measure up to how much volts? 100 volts. So that's it. Our voltage is current, which is 5 milliamperes multiplied by the total resistance, which is 50 plus R. So this will just become 1 by 5 into 100 and 10 to the power minus 3 is 50 plus R. Therefore, 50 plus R will be 100 by 5, that is 20. So 20 into 10 to the power 3. So therefore, R will be 20,000. This is minus 50. So therefore, R will be nothing but 19,000. Is that right? 50. Yes, 19,950 ohms. So which is option D. Perfect. 19,950. Yes, that is the right answer. Cool. Very simple, direct questions. Within half a minute, you can solve these kind of questions if you have solved it before. Let's do one more question coming up on your screen. A galvanometer, some resistance, full scale deflection. You want to convert it into an ammeter. What is the shunt resistance you need for that ammeter? So if you want to convert it into an ammeter, well, you will have galvanometer whose resistance is 200 ohms. The maximum current which it can allow is 20 microampere. So if you have a current of 20 milliamperes coming in, most of the current will get bypassed like this through some shunt, and the current that will bypass will be 20 milliamperes minus 20 microamperes, which is as good as saying 20 milliamperes only, because from milli, if you subtract micro, hardly anything is remaining. Okay, so now both of them are in parallel. So in parallel, voltage, which is IR, is basically going to be the same. Current into resistance. Current is 20 micro. Micro is 10 to the power minus 6 into resistance, which is 200. Is current into resistance. Current is 20 milli, which is minus 3 into resistance. So 20 cancels. So I'm left with 10 to the power minus 6, and minus 3 cancels as minus 3 into 200. 20 has gone, minus 3 also has gone. So R is remaining. So R is 200 into 10 to the power minus 3, which is basically 0.2 ohms. So 0.2 ohms is option C for Captain Shreyas. That's it. Okay. Very simple kind of questions. Okay. Very easily solvable. If you solve it by series parallel, if you remember formulas, you will be confused. So I have kept a homework question regarding voltmeter or ammeter. I think you will be able to solve it. Take a screenshot of it. If you want 5% of the current to pass through the galvanometer, how much resistance should be there of the galvanometer? What is the total resistance of the ammeter if galvanometer has a resistance of G? Again, solve it like a series parallel. Assume the current to be I. Assume 5% is going through the galvanometer, 95% is going through the shunt. So just assume the variables, solve it like series parallel, you will get the answer. Okay, so please post the answers in the comment section. The actual solution and the answer, you will get it on the next slide as a PDF. After the session is over, you can download it and verify it. Okay, but I want all your answers out there to show you are sincere, you are solving, and also build that consistency out there. Last one, remember the three devices. One is voltmeter, second is ammeter based on galvanometer. Third one is meter bridge to measure resistance based out of the concept of Wheatstone. Okay, Bhanu, I'll upload, man. By tomorrow or maximum day after, I'll definitely upload. Now, what is this Wheatstone's bridge? What is this meter bridge? Meter bridge, like the name suggests, you have something of a length of a meter, a scale, and on that scale, instead of actually having just a scale, there is a wire, whose length is usually a meter. And because resistance is proportional to the length, depending on how much part of the wire is being used here and there, actually you can relate it to the resistance and then figure out how much resistance is there in that unknown part. So this is how that meter bridge will look like. You need a variable resistance. This is a rheostat. You need a battery to supply power, and you need a galvanometer. That's it, and few wires. The wooden setup is called as the meter bridge. A meter bridge can also be of 2 meters and 5 meters and 50 centimeters, but usually it is of 1 meter or 100 centimeters. So this is how it looks like. See, this is a scale. with also a wire of that same length, and it is a highly resistive wire. And then there are connecting wires. These are very little resistance, very good conductors, usually of copper or something like that. So these are some plates in between. This is called as a bridge. Yeah, bridge means you connect things. So in these gaps, you place the resistances. In one side you place the unknown, the other side you place the known resistance. And from between them, you connect a galvanometer and you touch it at different points on the scale. And when the galvanometer shows 0, that's when you record that length and use it for determining the unknown resistance. So I'll repeat the procedure. This is the bridge which we are going to use, the meter bridge. Usually it's of a meter length. It also has a wire which you cannot see right now, but there is a wire on it which connects this metallic plate to this metallic plate with a high resistance wire. These are some connecting elements, copper, aluminum, high conductors. In this gap, you will place unknown resistance which you want to determine. Here you will place a standard resistance, and then you will connect this circuit to the battery to power it up. You take this point, connect it via the galvanometer, and the other end you are going to touch it on the scale at different points. Somewhere you will see the galvanometer will stop deflecting. The moment it shows 0 deflection, also null deflection, you measure that length, and from that length you can determine how much is that unknown resistance. That's the concept behind it. Procedure is clear? Everybody? Is the procedure clear? Everyone till this point? Okay. So let's have a look at the working principle of this. Okay, let's have a look at the working principle of that particular meter bridge. Like I said, over here, you are going to place X, which is unknown. Here, you are going to place some resistor, which is known to you. From this point, you will take a galvanometer and connect it somewhere here. This is called J, usually the jockey point. Okay, it is a movable contact, J. J also refers to jockey, meaning that point on that wire which is movable, because you will touch that other terminal of the galvanometer at different locations. So that is like a sliding point called as jockey. And this particular end over here, you are going to connect a battery which is going to power it up, maybe with some internal resistance. Okay, so that's how that circuit is. That's how the circuit is. I don't know whether you realize this. The moment I connect it over here, from this point to this point, this wire on that meter has some resistance, and this point to this point on that wire on that scale is also having some resistance. So actually speaking, this meter bridge is like a wheatstone, if you haven't realized it yet, something like this. Observe. Oops, second. So this is that wire, and here you have that battery, maybe with some internal resistance, and here you have that unknown resistance. Here you have that known resistance. This is X, which is unknown. This is standard resistance. And the galvanometer, and the galvanometer from between of it, like this. And you are connecting it at different places and touching it and seeing where it shows null deflection. This is the schematic diagram of a meter bridge. You will now realize that actually this much part is a resistance. Even this much part is a resistance. Does it now look like a Wheatstone's arrangement? How many of you are able to see it? Yeah. Deflection finding through jockey. Correct, Prince. Yeah. that same spelling like the underwear, but I'm not saying that you have to put an underwear here. Okay, it is a moving contact which is called jockey. Okay, some people are saying, sir, you will put the underpant over here. Oh my god, no, no, no. Cool. So now this is nothing but a Wheatstone's arrangement, as you can see, where you have some resistance over here, then you have some resistance over here, and of course this part is unknown resistance, this part is known resistance, something like this. This is X, this is standard resistance. I can call this as R1, I can call this as R2, okay, and of course this is that battery. And when it is balanced, when this bridge is balanced, then the current flowing in this part of that circuit, then the current flowing in this part of that circuit will be basically zero. This is called null deflection. This is called null deflection, and that's when the Wheatstone is balanced. That is when the Wheatstone bridge is said to be balanced. That is when the Wheatstone bridge is said to be balanced in nature. Is that right? Yeah. So, by the balancing condition, by the balancing condition, by the balancing condition, I can clearly say that this by this resistance, X divided by R, will be R1 by R2, will be R1 by R2. But wait a minute, what is R1? It is resistivity into the length divided by area. Same thing, R2 will be resistivity into the length divided by area. Rho AA will cancel, it will be L1 by L2. So what is L1 by L2? That is nothing but X divided by R. So R is known, L1 is known, L2 is known, you can easily find X. But what is this L1 and L2? So L1 and L2 are nothing but the lengths over here. So from here to here, this length is basically L1, and this particular length is nothing but of this resistance, that is L2. Usually you will notice, usually L1 plus L2 will be 100 centimeters, which is basically 1 meter. So therefore, usually you will see X will be R goes on the top multiplied by, you will have L1 over here upon 100 minus L1. Usually that is what the scenario will be, and this particular length is then called as the balancing length. Balancing length. This is called as the balancing length. Is this clear? So more than that formula, I would suggest this formula is important, because what if it is a non-standard meter bridge? But if it is a standard meter bridge, this is how the formula will look like. Okay guys, clear about this? I will know this resistance standard. I will tell, oh, the jockey is connected at 20 centimeters. So L1 is 20. So naturally L2 will be 100 minus 20, which is 80. So from that, I can immediately find the unknown resistance. Yeah. So did you finish the current carrying conductor in parallel? Yeah, Prince. I think so. Definitely. I mean, combination of resistors, series parallel. Remember, I think the previous to previous class, we have just done it. Okay. So this is used to find unknown resistance. Okay. So let's see some example like this. So I tell you, the balancing length is 30 centimeters, and I tell you that the known resistance, or the resistance in the right gap, the resistance in the right gap means this one, this gap over here, okay, the resistance in the right gap is, let's say, maybe 280 ohms. Can you find what is the unknown resistance? Can you find what is the unknown resistance? Definitely we can. The unknown resistance X is that resistance multiplied by balancing length by 100 minus the balancing length. The known resistance is 280. The balancing length is 30 and upon 100 minus 30. So this will become 280 multiplied by 30 is there, and over here 100 minus 30 is 70. As you can notice very clearly, this 0 and this 0 will go. The 7 will go with 28 4 times. So 4 into 30, that's 120. So 120 ohms is the unknown resistance. 120 ohms is the unknown resistance. Okay. If you want to watch nuclear physics, then you can watch my last year Roar series. That is good enough. Okay. Yeah. Now, there is one catch though, and that catch is usually this is going to work, but sometimes this part, which is that connecting wire, that joint which is there, that screw here, there, might also create some additional resistance, which we have not accounted for in this schematic diagram. Okay, I've just assumed pure resistances here, but the connecting wires might also have some resistance here and there, left side, right side. So there might be a need for something called as the end correction. So sometimes the end correction might be given. End correction is nothing but usually given in terms of length. So say for example, in this case, the balancing length was 30 centimeter. They might tell, listen boss, there is an end correction on the left side of 1 centimeter. And on the right side, there is an end correction of 2 centimeters. Meaning you have to accommodate that extra resistance which is there. So that extra resistance in terms of length, it is given to you. Because length and resistances are proportional to each other. So you might get some kind of end correction as well. So if end correction is given, it is mentioned in terms of length. Example, say for the left side, it is given 1 centimeter. For the right side, it is given, let's say, 2 centimeters. So then what you will do, here you will add the left side, which is 1 centimeter, and here you will add the right side, which is 2 centimeters, if that has to be accommodated. Otherwise, don't have to worry about it. Cool. So we'll solve some questions so that you will get an idea of it. First is a PYQ, which is very good. Resistance per centimeter of a bridge is R with X resistance in the left. Balancing length is 40 with 25 in the right gap. Now the wire is replaced by another wire of 2R resistance per centimeter. The balancing length for the same settings will be. A lot of people made many mistakes in this question. Let me tell you that. So this is our wire, highly resistive wire, and this is that unknown, this is that known. Okay, this is X left gap, and okay, right side I do not know, with the 25 ohms. This is 25 ohms, and this is basically that galvanometer. It is connected here, and the balancing length is 40 centimeters. This is 40 centimeters. Okay, so naturally this much will be 60 centimeters. Now tell me, if this wire, instead of being R ohms per meter or 2R ohms per meter or 100 R ohms per meter or whatever is that resistance per unit length, how does it matter? Because I'll tell you what. See, when you use Wheatstone's formula, which is X by 25, here we said it is the resistance of left part upon the resistance of right part. Yes, it will depend on the length, whatever is the length. But let's say I tell it is lambda resistance per meter into L1 will give me R1. Lambda is the ohms per meter. So this R2 will be lambda into L2. What is lambda? Lambda is resistance per unit length, resistance per unit length, it is ohm per meter. So into the meters will give me this resistance and this resistance separately. What is happening is the lambda value is getting cancelled. So actually it does not depend on resistance per unit length, only it depends on length 1 and length 2. So the value of x will definitely not change just because you change lambda. It was anyways getting cancelled out. So this 2r and r was basically your lambda. So whether you put lambda or whether you put 2 lambda, how does it matter? It will anyways get cancelled out. So the ratio will remain the same because the numerator and the denominator will be multiplied by the same factor. So the answer will be still 40 centimeters. Many students made mistakes in the actual paper. Isn't it quite tricky out there? Yeah, lot of students would have definitely thought 25 became 50 and they would have given some weird answer. So be careful guys in such situations. Let's do another question coming up on your screen. It says there is a wire of certain length, certain radius on the right side. When a resistance of 4.5 is connected on the left gap, the balancing length is 60. From the left, the resistivity of the wire is how much? Okay, so most of the things given to me. X by R is L divided by 100 minus L. Let's say we want to find X. The resistance in the left, oh sorry, not, we don't have to find X, X is actually given. This is nothing but on the left side, that means basically that is X. So this is 4.5. The resistance on the right gap, is R. I'll just put it as R for now. Balancing length is 60 and that's why I'll do 100 minus 60. The resistance on the right gap is not known to me right now. I'll just putting it as R because it is in terms of length and radius and resistivity and so on and so forth. So I'll just think about it later on. Okay, so this will become 4.5 divided by R. 60 by 100 minus 60 is 40. So it will become 60 by 40, which is as good as saying 6 by 4, which is as good as saying it is 3 by 2. Okay, fair enough. So therefore, R will be equal to 2 multiplied by 4.5 divided by 3. 2 into 4.5, 3 comes downstairs. So the resistance will be 2 into 4.5 is 9, 9 by 3 is 3, so 3 ohms. So the resistance in the right gap, is basically 3 ohms. But that is not what is asked. The question is what is the resistivity of the wire. Now we all know there is a resistivity formula related to resistance. So R is rho into L divided by A. Therefore resistivity is R into A divided by length, which is R by L. Area is nothing but pi R square. Area is nothing but pi R square. So we need to use that. So therefore, resistivity will be resistance, which is 3 ohms, divided by length. Length of the wire is 10 centimeter, which is 0.1 meter, into pi. Pi is nothing but 22 by 7. Okay, this pi. R square, the radius is root 7. The radius is root 7 into 10 to the power minus 4. So I have to square it. That is what it will look like. Clear guys? Everyone with me? Yeah? Pakka? Absolutely clear? Okay. So how much will it come out to be? Let's see. Okay. So this will be 3 multiplied by 22 and this 7 is there. Root 7 square will be 7. This will become 10 to the power minus 8 and this 0.1 will make it 10 to the power minus 1. So 7 cancels. 22 into 3 is 66 into this will become 10 to the power minus 7. This is ohm meter, that is resistivity. So 66 into 10 to the power minus 7. So answer is 66. Yep, perfectly fine. The values also they gave it very nicely so that it cancels out. Yeah, very good Yashwant, perfecto. Again from resistivity explain sir. Okay, see in this particular question, no? In this particular question, let me tell you, it was this resistance, which is not known to me. In fact, the left gap they had given, this is 4.5 ohm, and they told that this is 40, this is 60 centimeters. Till this point clear? The left side is 4.5, right side, how much is the resistance is not given to me. Balancing length was, 60 centimeters, my bad. Balancing length was 60 centimeters. Okay. So from this, we found out R using our normal formula. X by R is this formula. So I found out R simply. Okay. This by this is this by this. So I got R. So R came out to be 3 ohms. Now, once I got this resistance, I was asked the resistivity of that wire. So resistivity of the wire is rho L by A. Standard formula. Resistivity into length by area is the resistance. So what is resistivity? R into A divided by L. R by L I kept it. What is A? Area of cross section. What will it be? It will be circular because it is given the radius. So it will be pi R square. So R, we just figured it out. It was 3. Length is 0.1 because 10 centimeters means 0.1 meter. Pi is 22 by 7. R radius is root 7 into 10 to the power minus 4. Square it. So rest is calculation. You will get the answer. Is that fine? Yeah. Perfecto. Perfecto, Prince. Awesome. All right. Cool. Great. Great. Hi, Sheikh. Welcome aboard, everyone. Let's do another question which was previously asked. Beautiful question. I think there is some end correction over here. So let's say numerical times. A meter bridge setup is shown. It is used to determine unknown resistance R. See, the meter bridge has been reversed. So that's all. Instead of showing it facing up, it is now facing down. The battery is on the top. So don't get confused. This is the two gaps. And this is that wire. This is the galvanometer. This is the battery. It is the same thing. It's just shown in the opposite way. The galvanometer shows null deflection when the tapping key is 43 centimeters from end A. What is the end correction if the left side end correction is 2 centimeters? Okay. So this is given as 43 centimeters. So how much will this be? This will be 57 centimeters. Okay. Determine the value of R. Because this side they have told the end correction is there of 2 centimeters. I need to add plus 2 centimeters on the left side to account for the resistance of the connecting parts, screws, joints, etc. So by the logic, then I should say this resistance by this resistance, which is 15 by that unknown, will be this length by that length, which is 43 plus 2 by 57. So therefore, R will be equal to 15 multiplied by 57 divided by 45. 43 plus 2 is 45. 15 goes with 45 3 times, so it will be 57 divided by 3. Come on, guys. How much will R be? 57 divided by 3. 19. Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. So R will be 19 ohms. That is how you solve it. Yes, correct answer is 19. Awesome. Okay. Great. So I hope you loved this particular question. This was also based on end correction. And so we've reached the end. So there was only one homework question which I have told you. Please solve it. This is the homework question. Take a screenshot. Answer should be there in the comment section. Everybody spam the answers. Okay. All right. And solution, everything I will put it up in the PDF. PDF will get by tomorrow. Handwritten notes, everything. And be a part of the Sigma batch. And if you want more guidance, and especially if you are a dropper student and you want even more personalized attention, go for the pro batches. And if you are 11th standard student, please definitely you should go for the 2-year course. Don't delay and join in the end. Okay. So when there is no option left, obviously Sigma batch is the best batch for your 1-year preparation. Pure English batch. Again, I have put the link in the description box. Cool. Thank you so much. Find all my classes out there on YouTube as well as the batches, and make the full use and give no excuses, because after this there is no reason why you should not be able to crack JEE. Okay, because I have given my 120% out here to make sure that every kid out understands right from the basics. And once you start practicing questions, you'll get the hang of it. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. This is your Captain Shreyas signing off. Bye bye. Take care.